Hello, how are you? Did you know that the type of cheese you choose to eat in your daily life can directly affect your blood pressure, cholesterol, and even your cardiovascular risk? Cheese is a food that's very present in our routine. It's in several different meals, and the type of cheese you choose to offer your family and eat in your daily diet makes a big difference. You're going to love finding out which 4 cheeses you need to be very careful with. Stick around until the end because you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask you where you're from, what's the name of your city, and which cheese is most commonly eaten there. Write it for me in the comments. Also, remember to like the video. This is super important, not just for this video, but it also signals to YouTube that you like and trust my content, so it's really important to me. Let's start talking about which 4 cheeses we need to be extra careful with in our daily lives so we don't overdo it with them. In some cases, you should even avoid consuming them. Before talking about these 4 cheeses, I want to remind you that cheese is usually made from milk from cows, sheep, goats, buffalo, or any animal that produces milk. It's a very concentrated food because during the production process, the water is removed and the nutrients end up becoming much more concentrated. These nutrients can be beneficial, like calcium, for example, and protein, but there are also nutrients we need to be careful with when they're concentrated, such as sodium and fats, especially saturated fat. Because it's a more concentrated food, it's easy to exceed our needs with just a small portion. So it's important to know how to make good choices regarding the cheeses we eat on a daily basis. Be careful with spreadable cheeses like cream cheese or those cheese spreads you find on pizzas and in savory pies. There are even those really famous ones that come in a tube or in the past used to come in a container almost like it was made of wood. These creamy cheeses contain a lot of fat, and that's actually why they're so creamy. And some of them have unhealthy added fats, sometimes even containing hydrogenated vegetable fat, and they usually have a lot of emulsifiers to make them creamier. Many of them also have an excessive amount of sodium, they're salty, they're creamy, and some even have a lot of starch added to make them seem creamy when they're really not. By this, I'm not just talking about those cheeses that look like squeezable cream cheese, but also that fake squeezable cheddar, which has nothing to do with real cheddar. These cheeses tend to be very high in calories, packed with saturated or trans fats, and loaded with sodium. So they're usually not a good option for your heart. In second place are those more aged cheeses, which we call blue cheese, right? Gorgonzola, Roquefort, and even Parmesan, which is also an aged cheese. These cheeses are very concentrated, extremely high in sodium, very rich in saturated fat, and can easily reach exorbitant calorie amounts. A single 1-ounce serving can pack anywhere from 350 to 400 calories. And depending on the cheese, you could be looking at 500 milligrams of sodium in that tiny portion. 1 ounce is really not much at all. So, daily consumption of these cheeses can raise bad cholesterol, LDL, and can promote arterial stiffness. If you're going to have it on a weekend, in very specific situations, or just sprinkle a little on top of a dish, that's fine. But be careful with daily use and with not controlling the amount, because they are very concentrated and densely caloric. The third cheese actually isn't even cheese, but people buy it as if it were cheese. Those sliced cheeses for burgers or sandwiches, the ones that come between 2 little pieces of plastic, You peel off the plastic like this to use it, and it melts really quickly, precisely because it's not actually cheese. They are technically made from vegetable fat, often powdered milk, additives, and with coloring, phosphate, nitrite. So in excess, they can increase vascular inflammation, overload the kidneys, overload the liver, and there's nothing of cheese in them. It's basically just fat. So be careful, avoid consuming them. That's one I would never buy because it brings no benefit to our health at all. Also be careful with smoked cheeses, like provolone and other similar cheeses, which on the outside even have that slightly brownish crust because they've been smoked. So, their smoked flavor can come from hydrocarbon compounds, which, when consumed frequently, increase oxidative stress, can interfere with the vascular endothelium, the walls of blood vessels, and of course are also very high in saturated fat and very high in sodium. So, these 4 cheeses are ones we need to be careful with. Of these 4, I would say you should pay more attention to the hamburger cheese and the cream cheese, because I think those are the cheeses we consume most often in our daily lives. So, if you can replace them with healthier alternatives, your heart and your health will thank you. Good alternatives can be ricotta, cottage cheese, or even homemade white cheese. I have a video here on the channel teaching how to make it, and even homemade cream cheese, which I also show how to prepare here on the channel. Whenever you make it at home, you can choose to use skim milk, control the amount of salt and sodium, and even add other seasonings that will make it tasty and flavorful, without having such a big impact on the amount of sodium you consume daily. So, by making good choices, you can enjoy a very protein-rich food, high in calcium, which is good for you, will keep you full without those downsides I mentioned. Tell me which cheese you eat the most, if you have any of these here daily or very often, and if you're going to stop eating it or replace it with another one. I'd love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, it really helps me out, and share it with anyone who would enjoy it or needs it. Let's work together to spread this chain of good, because that's what I want here on the channel. See you next time. Bye.